All right, boys.
All right.
No, don't play again. Welcome to the 8th Round Pick podcast, the long-awaited first episode.
Great to be here.
What?
Long-awaited. I thought
It is
dead. Like,
It's been so long-awaited. After Patterson died and fell off a cliff 2 weeks ago. Yeah, true. It happens to the best of us, except those who have better genes. Loser. Anyways, boys, welcome to the 8th Round Pick.
oh no.
That's gonna happen a lot, isn't it? Welcome to the first episode. It's not scuffed at all. We're gonna introduce ourselves. I'm Brennan. I was born in North Carolina, hence the hat here, the fine hat. I'm a Panthers fan. I'm a Cubs fan as well. That doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. This is a football podcast. But yeah. Moving on.
All right.
Patterson,
Hello.
Introduce yourself.
I am Patterson. I was born him, and I've been a Bengals fan before I could pronounce Cincinnati correctly.
Amen.
All right.
I'm Trip. I like long walks on the beat. Wrong stuff. This is sports. So, I'm Trip. Georgia fan. Arizona Cardinals fan. And I know it's irrelevant, but St. Louis Cardinals fan. Second.
Garbage. Sorry, that slipped out. I didn't.
There's the definition of mid. Anyway, about the Cardinals.
Moving on.
They had a slight little change.
What was that all
A slight
about?
little change in the offseason, didn't they? They added a new contract for Kyler Murray.
They did.
5 years, $230 million, signing bonus $29 million. What are our thoughts right off the bat?
I love it. I know.
You love it?
I love it.
What about you, Brennan?
I thought it was funny how they'd said, like, hey, guess what, loser, do homework for us.
Yeah, and he took it out
That
of
was
the
funny.
contract. He was like, no.
Yeah, and then they hit the undo button. They're like, actually, nah. This is a PR disaster.
Yeah. Well, there was an article that I saw where like he like quoted himself. He was saying like, I don't like prepare. I just see and I let it happen. So I think that's going to show that he just doesn't watch film, but he's an athlete. So, but I don't know that was. He got slander. Lamar's been getting slander. Mahomes has been getting slander. A lot of people.
Well, everyone's getting slander.
All right.
Hold on. Let's do some quick maths real quick. So you said $230 million?
$230 million over 5 years.
Okay, divided by 5 years. That is $46 million a year.
Plus his $30 million signing bonus he has already.
So let's see here.
He should be glad.
What is Mr. Patrick Mahomes' deal right now? So
he signed the $500 million contract.
Yeah.
So
but it's over
$50 million a year.
$51 million. Yeah, 51.
Cool.
$51 million. Okay.
So
that's a little bit less than Patrick Mahomes, which I personally think is outrageous, guys.
Let me say one thing. Apart from like the memes of him not watching film and stuff, I think like it's an investment and it's a big investment, Kyler. But like he's proven to be not like a Mahomes level quarterback, but he's like I'd say a tier under. And it is so good to keep somebody like that. You want to keep somebody like that, right? Because like the Cardinals, we're probably, if I had to guess, probably going to pick like 21st draft next year. Yes.
Okay. You said he's a tier under Patrick Mahomes. So we're saying Patrick Mahomes elite, top 5, Kyler Murray, top 10?
Yeah, I'll say that.
Okay, so
I would agree with that.
Kyler Murray, last year as a passer, right? 69% completion percentage is amazing. 3,800 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. 57 QBR, which is the lowest of his career, but fine. But then you factor in him as a runner, which you think like, oh, now it's going to get much better, right? it gets considerably worse. If you have Kyler Murray leading your offense as of last year, which was a playoff team, he scored 29 touchdowns, 22 turnovers for 4,100 yards. When I read that out to you, 22 turnovers, that's more than one a game. And they made the playoffs, and they were undefeated like 8 games in. And he was awful in that playoff game.
He was.
So,
I mean, the whole team was bad, to be fair. We got scorched by the Rams. It ended up being
no, AJ Green was great. Anyway.
AJ
Here's my take on everything.
AJ Green.
I agree. Okay, AJ Green is not. Don't insult AJ Green. If you insult AJ Green, I will do something. I don't know.
This episode is me
anyway,
AJ Green. Continue.
My take on all of this is Kyler Murray worth it? I think so. Is he a top 10 quarterback? I think so. Is he worth $230 million? Absolutely not. I think that
$10 million per turnover.
I mean, like, here's the thing that every time a quarterback gets re-signed, you know, it's all about making record-setting deals,
right.
And that's what we've seen when they paid
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson. You know, we saw Matthew Stafford get an insane deal last year. Yeah, Matt Ryan a couple years before that. Every time that franchise quarterback rolls around, they're going to pay him, and they're going to pay him well.
Right.
That's just how it works. But realistically, I mean, Deshaun Watson, like, I think we can all say comfortably that in his prime, Deshaun Watson was a top 10 quarterback,
absolutely.
arguably top 5.
Oh my gosh,
arguably.
Great. Okay.
Just
but
wild card game.
This man has not stepped onto a football field, let alone played in an NFL football game in 2 years, guys.
Yeah.
And we're gonna pay him $230 million guaranteed.
That's insane.
I mean, that's just insanity.
It's insane, and then it's disregarding what Baker did for the Browns, to me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he did get them over the hump as much as you want to. He was the first round pick, basically, that worked. There was Myles Garrett, too. But the Browns had so much
Myles Garrett did more than work.
I would say Baker Mayfield was...
So many misses.
I would say he worked, but he was the closest quarterback they've had to working since, like...
No. Show me 2020 Baker Mayfield and tell me he did not work.
He was.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I'll give you that. But in his rookie year,
he worked.
But after that, it was just a struggle.
Okay, look. Last year, Odell goes down. You have a washed-up Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
To be fair, you do have a top-tier offensive line, but you have a washed-up Jarvis Landry.
I know he's like a...
Go ahead, Drake.
I know OBJ, like, I feel like OBJ now is, like, so underrated. People think he, like, still... Because, like, on the Browns, everybody's like, oh, he sucks. See what he does with, like, an actual quarterback.
Okay.
Okay.
In defense...
Baker's not, like...
In defense of Odell Beckham Jr., he played all of 2019 with a hernia and had 1,000 yards. Odell Beckham Jr. is great. But back to Baker Mayfield, do you think he's a franchise quarterback? We've been talking about, like, oh, he's good. He's fine. He's passable. Is he a franchise quarterback?
No, I think very comparable to Sam Darnold. And is Sam Darnold a franchise quarterback?
Whoa.
Okay, bro. As a man who went to Charlotte, North Carolina and saw Sam Darnold play live, I can tell you that he is not Sam Darnold-like.
I feel like they're similar.
We're going to go over to...
I want to say something about Kyler Murray quick again.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so...
Oh, my gosh.
Do you think it would be smart of the Cardinals if Kyler... He probably told them, I don't want anything under $200 million. I want a big deal.
He probably did.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely said that,
in a statement, he wants to be paid like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He probably asked for that. Do you think it would be smart for the Cardinals to be like, no, that's hefty. I'm not paying that. Or we're not paying that.
No, I'm saying, like, of course they're going to pay the man, but it's still outrageous that he should get paid that much.
It's too much for what Kyler Murray brings to the table. But
Yeah.
Talking about Baker Mayfield, you have the opposite side of the spectrum.
Please, I just want to say, like, who are the Cardinals? They're going to draft like 21st, 22nd, maybe lower.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Next year, like, it's hard to replace somebody like Kyler Murray. He is a top. It's hard to replace a top 10 quarterback. You want
Trip, we're not disagreeing you. We're just saying he's not worth $230 million.
I know, but like, wouldn't you say like 90% of quarterback contracts aren't worth what they're given?
Well, I think
No, that's what we're saying. Every time they need to make a record-setting deal.
Yeah, that I guess we agree on that. Like, yes, what was he paid too much money? Yes, but was it worth keeping him? Because I feel he's pretty solid. Because he's not exactly a QBR quarterback. Like Russell Wilson isn't either. He's not gonna put up the highest QBR in the league. He's probably a bit more consistent than Kyler, but like, low power, low battery. But like the plays that Kyler can make and like just running around, rolling out, and finding an open guy, that's hard to get. So I feel he's
You said Russell Wilson doesn't do QBR. He literally just described exactly what you just said Kyler could do, but you know.
Okay. What was Russell Wilson's QBR last year? Last year.
Hold on, I got it.
I've been the numbers guy all of today.
Okay.
You're just gonna come out here and you're gonna steal my thing. No, it's great. It's great. I totally don't have a bunch of numbers here preparing for this episode.
Okay.
Russell Wilson had a passer rating of 103.1 in 2021.
Okay, so he is.
Boom. Mic drop.
What was his QBR? Because that's what Patterson.
That's literally what I just said.
103, you said?
103.1, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Which is
Football Reference.
elite.
It says his QBR here is 54.7 and his rating is 103.1.
You're looking at QBR is your quarterback rating, and that is the 103.1, bro.
Unless you're talking to Madden, in which case your QBR is scuffed.
QBR is a in stat, and then rating is quarterback rating. So QBR is a ESPN stat. That's like a whole different thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to look at Kyler's real quick, just so we can compare, and his passer rating.
57.3. QBR of 57.3, career low.
So that was higher than Russell
Trip.
Wilson's last year, and his passer rating was just above. But they're still consistent quarterbacks, I feel.
All right.
I would still take Russell Wilson over Kyler Murray every single day of the week. But
I think the moral of this conversation is it's not worth like what it might seem to be, but it's worth to keep him because he's better than any replacement we can get right now. If that
the moral is you hate Baker Mayfield, apparently.
True.
Who I want to talk about.
You said
I avoided long and hard.
Uh-huh.
Baker talk.
Let's hear it, Patterson.
Okay. Baker Mayfield. So he's playing with what was it? He injured his shoulder or something? Not his throwing shoulder. Not his throwing shoulder, the other one, but messed up his mechanics, right? He's on the final year of his rookie deal, meaning he's gonna make $4.8 million this year as a starting quarterback. For reference, Sam Darnold is gonna make $19 million in dead cap this year. Because they have to pay it all to him. It's his final year. So,
I know.
The fact that the Panthers have found themselves a bridge quarterback, maybe to help with the progression of Matt Corral, maybe to reach for the next best thing, or maybe to just have Baker. They did it without giving up CMC. They still have the pieces that made the Panthers great. They didn't sacrifice anything. They just got better. You know, and for the deal Baker's on right now.
Oh yeah, that's worth it for sure.
Here's my whole take on the situation. Okay. I feel like, how do I express this? Sam Darnold is a horrible quarterback. I think I could put on pads now and go out.
To the NFL, no one's horrible.
I feel like I could put on pads and go be a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. But my whole take, I mean, I thought we were gonna give up like serious things, but I think our GM Scott Fitterer played it perfect. He waited until it was basically at below market value and got him for a huge steal. Yeah. But I mean, I think that at this point, we're either developing Matt Corral, we're not even going to give him a shot. What I would have wanted to do is make Sam Darnold and Matt Corral, quarterback battle through training camp. Yes. I would assume Sam Darnold would win, and then we would let him go out there, suck for 2 or 3 weeks, give Matt Corral a shot. If he's good, great. If he's not and he's struggling a little bit, we go out and we suck, we tank all year, and we get Bryce Young next year or CJ Stroud, depending on who has the better season.
I think Matt Corral is an outstanding athlete with a great arm. It's what's going on upstairs we don't know about. I think he just needs time. I think if we throw him to the Wolves right away, Matt Corral's going to be bad. But I think in like 2 years, Matt Corral, if he's given the right amount of consistency, and he really wants to be great. I mean, I could see him being a guy.
He's your prototypical NFL quarterback, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He was really in, I think they called it the fun and gun at Ole Miss, where he either ran the ball or just hucked it deep. So all we really know about Matt Corral is the fact he could do that. So I'm fine with giving him a little time while Baker is so dirt cheap, because he's not on the mega deal that other quarterbacks are. So I really like that for the Panthers. I think that's a steal.
Who's the Rule?
Matt Rule?
Yeah, Brendan. Do you think Matt Rule can be that type of coach like Lane?
Yes.
For Corral.
Really?
Oh no! You can't be that kind of coach.
Yeah.
But I do still believe in him. Okay. I think that he had his shortcomings, as every coach does, when moving from college football to the NFL.
Right.
But I mean, you look at last year's roster. I mean, really, just looking at a quarterback, you cannot win with a quarterback room of like 29-year-old Cam Newton after 3 shoulder surgeries, Sam Darnold, and PJ Walker. Okay, you can't win with that.
Superstar.
Isn't PJ Walker known for being like a third-string quarterback for like every NFL team?
Yeah, pretty much.
But he was with Matt Rule. I just
think that there's only so much coaching you can do to win that. And our offense, in every sense, runs out of Christian McCaffrey. Right. I think it was no fluke that we won the first 3 games last year with Christian McCaffrey.
Yes.
Okay. Was our schedule a little bit weak? Yes. But I think it was there wasn't no fluke. Like, we won those games because of Christian McCaffrey.
My bad.
Yeah.
My camera.
Oh my god! No, you're good, bro.
This is great first
episode. I know. I love how Brennan went on a perfect tangent for like a YouTube short, and we can crop it out
Yeah.
Okay, but Brennan, back to your scenario about developing Matt Corral. You said you'd let Sam Darnold play for 2 or 3 weeks and see if he sucks. What happened to Baker? Would you have Sam Darnold play over Baker?
This is if Baker never happened.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a hypothetical.
Yeah.
So are you a Baker believer, Brennan?
I have to be now. Look, I know it doesn't translate, but I watched a full season of him in college.
He was wonderful in college.
Yeah, I just have to believe
Tim Tebow was wonderful in college too, though.
Okay, well, don't think... I don't know. That's actually kind of a good comparison. I don't know. The whole point is, this is ultimately what I come to when it comes to the Baker Mayfield decision. The ultimate goal of NFL teams is to win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And Baker Mayfield, I don't think he can do that, if I'm being honest. I don't think he can get there. I don't think he can take us to the promised land.
If you have 2 minutes left and you need to drive 85 yards and you can pick from out of like the top 20 quarterbacks, assuming Baker's in there, you're taking Baker Mayfield to drive you down there? I'm not.
Exactly. All right, we were talking about Russell Wilson earlier, boys. How about the AFC
Broncos
West?
country, let's ride.
AFC
Dude.
West. Got the finesse with
It's crazy.
Randy Gregory, where the Cowboys let him go for like nothing, right?
Oh my
and
gosh.
then also Russell Wilson, and in the process, dumped Teddy B and Drew Lock. Like they don't even have to worry about those contracts anymore. Did lose Noah Fant and Shelby Harris, but Russell Wilson, you could lose half your team and be happy that you got Russell Wilson.
Yeah. I think that is such a perfect pick for the Broncos. Because Russell Wilson for Seattle spent like 5 years carrying. Well, after their Super Bowl, he spent like 3 or 4 years carrying an average team to the playoffs every single year.
Definitely.
And I know last year he kind of slipped up, but he had that finger injury. I know that meant you.
He also had. Hold on.
Let Russ.
I don't look at that as Russell Wilson slipping up. I see that as finally seeing the Seahawks for what they are.
Good point.
Like, I feel like at a certain point you can only be Superman for so long. Like, people complain about how many times Joe Burrow was sacked. Russell Wilson was right behind him. And no one was talking about it.
He's had a below average O-line for practically his whole career.
Yeah. Okay, I got you, boys. Hold on. Let's see here. Falcons, Steelers, Seahawks. PFF graded them at a 25 out of 32. They went down one. The average PFF grade for their offensive line last year was a 59.
I want to act like that's bad. We're probably worse. Anyway.
But I just
and we're not going to talk about how the Panthers were at 31 and their average was 55.
No, the Panthers are stinky. We're not going to worry about it. We all know the Panthers. That's why you got icky.
True.
I think the thing with Russ is that you've seen, I'm sure you've seen all of those highlights of him just kind of being just making magic, and I just think that and alone, and he's so clutch too. He's so clutch.
So we now have the Russ-led Broncos, Herbie and the Chargers, Devontae and the Raiders, and Mahomes and the Chiefs in the same division.
You want to talk about the Chargers real quick because they also added Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, Gerald Everett on the offensive side of the ball, and Sebastian Joseph Day to just eat up space.
It's going to be nasty.
The Chargers are going to be – well, I feel like this was true a lot of the 2000s, and they weren't great. But this Chargers team feels different.
Would you say that every single quarterback in that division is a top 10 quarterback?
Yes, I would.
Ooh.
I would. Look. Derek Carr gets too much hate. He's a top 10 quarterback.
He's borderline top 10.
No. You look at his stats. You look at after Coop left, who the heck is he throwing the ball to, bro? Just Darren Waller?
Derek Carr is interesting because he's never had a year where you were like, he did what? But he's a lot he's almost a Kirk Cousins to me. Where it's that's actually a great comparison. It's a lot of really good stats, nothing that's ever eye-popping,
Yeah.
And I think that sort of quarterback is more valuable than they're giving credit for, honestly, because I don't think Derek Carr is ever going to go out there and embarrass you.
I agree.
We were in a game late with Derek Carr, and he was in the red zone in overtime in the playoffs, and I remember still being scared we were going to lose that game. So I feel like that shows that I had faith that Derek Carr was a pretty good quarterback.
I think maybe the difference between Cousins and Carr, would you consider Kirk Cousins a game manager?
No, I think he's more than a game manager.
I think a lot of people see him as a game manager. I don't consider Derek Carr a game manager at all.
I can see the argument that he's a game manager. Derek Carr, I'd say less so, for sure. And Brennan's point about having less weapons, it's true, but not anymore. Devontae.
Not anymore. There's no excuse now.
Second best.
Chandler Jones, Bilal Nichols, Rock Yassin on the defensive side.
That's gonna be
They're just loaded.
scary.
But the thing is,
all 4 teams are loaded.
The thing is, still don't believe in the Raiders.
Why not?
I feel like one of these teams has got to be the worst. One of them is not going to make the playoffs at least.
Oh, well, it has to be, right?
To me, that team is the Raiders. I feel like their overall talent is not there. They just have, like, more stars everywhere. It's like you look at their linebackers. I don't even know where to start naming them. Does Nick Kwiatkowski still play? I have no idea who's there. Their secondary is never great. You know, Rocky Sen's a good player. I don't think he's great. I don't think if he's your best cornerback, I feel like there's an issue.
Well, that's what happens when you have Damon Arnett do, his whole
he was silly
spiel.
Goofy.
Yeah, but you also have Nate Hobbs holding up
that's
that
true.
back
I forgot
end,
about
which is
Nate
nice.
Hobbs, but he's a good nickel corner. Okay.
Yeah.
Chiefs. Do you think the Chiefs got worse?
Yeah.
Yes, of course they did. They lost Tyreek. Look, I'm tired of people saying that Juju was, off in Pittsburgh, whatever, bro. I don't think he was all that.
I don't think he'll ever reconnect because that 1 year, we forget how great 1 year of Juju Smith-Schuster was. He was like 1,300 yards, fantastic. We're never gonna see that Juju Smith-Schuster again.
No,
I agree.
And Juju Smith-Schuster and MVS don't come together to equal one Tyreek Hill.
Exactly.
That's so true.
I feel like they have a bunch of like wandering players who are borderline 2 or 3 in their receiving room. No one who's really going to step up and be like, I am the number 1 receiver of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, the only thing I will say is that if there was a game, and for the Packers and Devontae Adams was out, it would either be PS or Lazard, who would not completely put up Devontae Adams' stats, but they would go off. And they have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and now you just replace him with Mahomes, who's arguably as good, maybe better. So I'm not saying MVS is like Tyreek Hill, but because
he can fill the shoes of a pretty good receiver.
Yeah, because Tyreek Hill is just incredible. But I see your point. Like Juju and MVS aren't gonna change a game for you like Tyreek Hill.
I think that's fair to say. Do you think now that there's like a bunch of super teams being made right now, a bunch of teams who are like it's now or never. One of which is obviously the Bucks. They just had the big acquisition of Julio Jones. Other teams gave him more money. Other teams had more room for him. He wanted to go to Tampa Bay. What are your thoughts on that?
Because he's ring hunting, bro. There's also the biggest stab in the back to every single Falcons player and fan ever.
He goes to the division rival, and you got to think the Colts were in the running, right? Surely the Colts were one of the teams, like, maybe we could put Matt Ryan and Julio Jones just for that, like, locker room. Like the Packers, like, you don't want to play with Aaron Rodgers. Right. Is he receiver 3 there? So
No, he's not. You have Chris Evans.
There's still Scotty.
Goodness gracious.
Mike
Evans.
Chris Godwin.
Russell Gage, Scotty Miller, Julio Jones. I don't know if that's the depth chart, but those are 5 receivers. And they have the Minnesota kid, Tyler Johnson.
Okay,
this is true.
I know Scotty Miller is obviously more of a slot guy.
Right.
But you have 2 guys running deep, and you have to throw to one of them. Are you throwing the ball to Julio Jones or Scotty Miller?
I don't know, man. You see that playoff game against the Packers? I think Scotty Miller does just fine going deep.
Julio Jones? It's like...
Do you remember last year, bro? He played like one game and like fell and broke everything in his body, bro.
No. I looked at this because I misremembered last year with Julio Jones. He had 430 yards and 1 touchdown in 10 games played.
That's awful.
Huge fantasy bust.
That's awful.
It's not...
That's awful.
It's not like... It's awful considering the fact that we know it's Julio Jones.
Right.
That's 10 games, Patterson.
If it were
10 games and 400 yards.
But like if he had played a full season, it would have been closer to like 800, 900.
I feel like
don't know,
Julio
man.
can be a complete replacement to AB. Because AB was not bad at all. It was past prime AB for sure. And Julio's past his prime for sure.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
But he can still be that guy, I feel.
I feel like
I think Russell Gage was trying to be replacement AB.
We're looking at two different kinds of wide receivers. Antonio Brown is like a smaller guy who has glue hands.
But you can put him on the outside and throw a ball up to him, and he'll come down with it.
But like Julio Jones is massive. It's just if you put it in his general area, the idea is Julio Jones will catch the ball. You know, just a big body receiver, never really created separation, just jumps over someone and gets it.
Yeah, but that's a good point, because the big thing about AB, even though he was past his prime, excellent route runner. You see, he's wide open a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So
Julio's not really that type of receiver.
Yeah. It's just less versatility with Julio. Because you can't I don't see him as like a slot guy. I think he's too big. He's got to play on the outside.
Yeah.
So, like, you almost think that Gage and Scotty will get more reps because they'll be able to fight for that slot spot, where Julio Jones is almost better for when Mike Evans is, like, tired and he needs to leave for a while.
Yeah.
Or maybe you make him like a red zone threat. I don't even know.
Scott can be that. He's like a hybrid, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I like Chris Godwin a lot. I feel like he's
like the perfect wide receiver, too.
Yeah. He's a very underrated, very good quality to Buccaneers.
Where does he play? The slot or on the outside? Because
I think he plays outside.
He plays mainly outside, yes.
Yeah.
So Julio would be, I don't know. The thing about Julio is I feel like he can either just continue what he's been, like always injured, or I feel like he could be like season. It'll be interesting. I've been seeing a lot of people on Twitter. Twitter's interesting.
If it helps any.
Twitter is interesting.
If it helps any.
Of
his
Russell
contract.
And Baker Mayfield on Twitter, and they tried to make a case that they were the same quarterback. That Twitter's
if it helps any. Julio's contract, 1 year, $1 million. That doesn't sound like a starter to me.
Good point. But what was AB? What did they get AB for?
AB's incentives were almost as much as Julio's contract was.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. Is that a disrespectful thing to do for him to go to the Buccaneers?
I think so. To go through 28-3 and to be a Falcon through and through, and then to just
at this point.
Oh, definitely.
I think the thing about him is like everyone agrees he's like top 5 all time almost. Like I feel like almost everyone agrees that. But then they're like, but about Julio, it's he doesn't have that ring. You know?
Yeah.
What did Randy Moss do when, he was having a great career but couldn't get it done? He went to Tom Brady and got himself a ring. Right?
He did?
Yeah. Did he?
No,
yeah,
he lost.
He
was the 16-0 team, right?
Yeah, and they lost.
Yeah, he lost.
That example.
Hey, Trip.
The point is,
flip your camera.
He joined a super team.
Right.
Like that was the idea, was to join a super team, and obviously Jerry Rice was on a super team for a lot of his career. I mean, his career ended up being weirdly long, but a lot of it.
I don't think Julio needs the ring. I think he's in the Hall of Fame.
I definitely agree.
Oh yeah, well, he's just trying to put that aside. You know what I'm saying? Like he's trying to make it obvious. Like I am top 5
undisputed.
all time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of former Falcons wide receivers, or current Falcons wide receivers, how mad must Calvin Ridley be right now, ladies and gentlemen?
$1,500 bet on his team to win a game. And then you have a guy with 24 assault allegations, and he only gets 6 games.
He only gets 6 games.
And then you have, Josh Gordon. And who's the other receiver who's like suspended indefinitely for marijuana.
Oh,
I
still
don't
with the
know.
Jaguars? Justin Blackman?
I don't know, but there's
Oh, there's also the obvious one. Tyreek Hill has had multiple cases of domestic abuse.
Yeah, and Kareem
and
Hunt.
has gotten away with
Kareem
it.
Hunt.
Yeah.
abuse is just a low
Adrian
level.
Peterson.
Yeah,
You
AP.
You can beat women, but you can't smoke weed in the NFL.
True. You can't gamble either.
Yeah.
Don't forget
gamble,
that one.
bro.
That one's
It's
important.
a bad idea.
Yeah, don't gamble. Yeah, especially on your own team. That's even worse.
Don't root for your own team publicly.
Exactly.
Yeah, if
Trip, you gotta turn your
if
camera,
I
bro.
was
happened?
Calvin Ridley.
You're sideways.
I know. I have to charge my phone.
Should we all? Yeah, Brennan, you do that.
Do it, Brandon.
I can't.
Weird. It's fine. Just leave them like that. Okay.
Leave him like that.
So do you guys have pretty much everything you want to talk about with the NFL? Pretty squared away.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so.
Okay.
I think we're pretty good on all that.
So we've been doing a lot of contract talk, right?
Wait, one sec. I
Mhm.
want to see all the stuff that Brennan sent over. Yeah,
Brennan,
we're
you
on to
can't
college
laugh.
football. We're on to college football.
More subtle way to do that.
Our first segment of the podcast.
Great job,
That
Trip.
was
Great job.
If you would have just followed my lead, it would have been more subtle. Okay.
Yeah, that's truly great.
In our home great state. I don't know if you're aware. They don't really tell you here. But
No.
did you know that Georgia won a national championship? Can you believe that? I
Really?
don't know
I
if
didn't
anyone
know that.
told
That's
you,
crazy.
but they actually got it done this year. And to
Oh,
celebrate,
wow.
They rewarded their
The-
coach.
46-year-old
They did.
Kirby Smart, 10 years, $112 million. He was making 3.25 last year on the championship run. Nick Saban makes $10 million flat a year. What are our thoughts on the contract? Do we think it was Kirby that caused the success, or is it no repay?
Of course it's Kirby that causes success. Did you see what? I mean, no, like disrespect to Mark
He's a
Richter.
good
or anything,
coach.
but
He's a good coach.
yeah, he just didn't get it done. And the instant Kirby came over, I mean, we get like top 5,
Yeah.
consistently top 3 recruiting classes like every year. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
not fair.
Like,
because we were small, but he put together a really good team. Mark Richt did, with like Aaron Murray, AJ Green, Geno Adkins. Those are some nice Georgia teams.
but they didn't finish.
They got stonewalled by the Alabama dynasty.
Well, we're not talking. We're not saying Mark Richt is a bad coach. He was a good coach, but the
Had-
recruiting numbers are between Kirby Smart and Mark Richt.
It's
night
different.
Night and day. The amount more talent that Kirby has signed than Mark Richt, crazy. Like, I'm sure that throughout Mark Richt's tenure, Kirby Smart, what was Mark Richt, like 12 seasons?
He was there for a minute. I don't know
Like
if it was
12 to
but
15?
maybe like 10. Maybe like 10 seasons.
Something like that.
Here's-
Kirby has easily signed more 5-star players than he has in the
Right.
shorter amount of time that he's been there. Like, the amount of talent that we're signing,
And the
is-
transfers too.
yeah, elite.
So many
top
transfers.
notch.
Yeah.
With Mark Richt, it wasn't bad, but it was for sure not elite.
A crazy thing to think about.
Here's the thing I always come
Go
back to is like the just the amount. Do you think even an average coach could make that defense
No,
what it was?
absolutely.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Do you
Yes.
think they could have brought that out of them? Really?
here's the thing.
Okay.
This is where it branches off, and I see the good and bad of Kirby Smart. Going into this season, the starters for the defensive backs, that room was empty. All of them were gone. So we either had underclassmen or transfers. He brought all of them in, and it was one of the best secondaries in the country. Right? That being said, looking at who was on the roster, who wouldn't have succeeded? What coach couldn't have made that team great? I feel like it's a lot of his team. I feel like Kirby Smart has a good coaching staff around him. He's built up some good people that help bring those guys in. They help get them sold in on the program. But I don't know if he's better than Nick Saban the way his contract suggests, I guess.
I wouldn't put him ahead of Saban. I wouldn't put him ahead of Dabo right now either. But I want to pull something up.
You wouldn't put him ahead of Dabo, really?
I wouldn't put him ahead of Dabo.
You think Dabo is better?
I would. I like just rank
even after last season.
Yeah, I just ranking them right now. I'd put Dabo ahead, but like, of course, Kirby has a great staff. Dan Lanning, great coordinator. Now the head coach at Oregon.
Not there. Okay.
What'd you say, Brennan?
He said not there, but
I just said he's not there anymore.
No, he's the head coach at Oregon.
You did clarify. Yeah. You clarified. I know what you're saying.
Of course, he had a great staff around him, and a lot of people before we won the Natty knocked Kirby as like not a great on-field coach. I just think like the recruiting isn't everything, obviously, but it takes a lot to bring a bunch of like 5 stars and high talented guys in. Because your average coach, like you said, Patterson, can't bring those guys in.
Right.
And Kirby is a defensive mastermind too. He was like that Alabama team when he was at Alabama. Their D coordinator for what, maybe like 6 years.
Right.
You could not, like from what I remember, you could not run the ball on Alabama when Kirby Smart was defensive coach. Couldn't. You couldn't. That defense was so good. I think that's just what shows how good Kirby is as a coach.
I agree.
So I think the contract was worth it just because I think we found a gold mine with Kirby, and hopefully we can win a few more with him.
Do you think Georgia's the new giant of college football?
Not yet.
Absolutely not.
Yet.
I think Bama is going to dominate next year. It's going to be like
Bama or Ohio State.
I think Ohio State's fake. I'm going to be the first to say
it.
I think Ohio State is completely fake. I do not look at their defense and say that they can contend.
Their defense is not great, but
I think that CJ Stroud is an overrated system quarterback.
Brennan.
I'm going to say it here.
What?
That's what I think.
That is crazy.
That's what I think.
That is crazy.
Okay. So
he reminds me so much of a Matt Corral, where he relies so much on the system. And yes, he does have the athletic.
We don't know
the athletic prowess and the athletic ability.
Relied on the Lane Kiffin. What Patterson? What'd you call it?
Gun. That's what he
the
called
fun
it.
and gun.
Fun and gun. We don't. If he sucks in the NFL, maybe you can call Matt Corral a system quarterback. But
no, I'm not saying Matt Corral was a system quarterback. I'm saying it looks like he is. I'm just saying that if you put see, I just don't think he's all that. I don't think he's the number 1 overall pick in the draft, which is why I'm seeing him go.
Yes, it's Bryce Young.
I think Bryce Young.
But one thing about
of course, it's Bryce Young.
My stepdad, he'd always point at Justin Fields and how when they'd play like Maryland or somebody in the Big Ten, he'd have receivers wide open all the time. Same thing with CJ Stroud. But then he's a Clemson fan. He saw Justin Fields play against Clemson and throw like those beautiful deep balls just with perfect accuracy to
beautiful game.
That CJ Stroud reminds me of that, and he went off in the Rose Bowl game. He reminds me of a Justin Fields. I think he's like that. He's just got like such great touch on the ball. And yes, during his regular season games, most of them, is he going to have Jackson Smith and Jigba wide open with nobody within 10 feet of him? Yes. But I think he can make those throws, and he's an athletic kid, so I don't think he's fake.
So
that Ohio State team is scary for sure, don't you think?
Ohio State is the same way it always is, where they have so many stars, but other teams are just like they're just coached better. I almost think
you don't think Ryan Day's a good coach?
I think he's a good coach.
I think he's average.
I think anyone he goes against in the playoffs is a better coach.
You say that?
So
could you say that Ryan Day is similar to Kirby? Because a lot of people got on to him about not being able to get over the hump. Ryan Day hasn't been able to get over the hump yet. Would you say he's comparable to Kirby?
Here's the thing. Kirby, we saw as a coordinator dominate the college football landscape. He's been doing it for so long. It was a trash take to say Kirby couldn't get it done to begin with. But with Ryan Day, it feels like Ohio State always gets these stars. They get the Ezekiel Elliott's, they get the Terry McLaurin's, they get the this, they get the that, but not the title. Not the title, bro. And why is it that then Alabama, they have all these draft busts, but they got it done? And it's because they're more bought into the system. Their system is better. And I think that's always going to be true. And so I don't think Alabama's done the way some people do, but I'm going to need to watch Texas A&M Alabama. I think
one thing
that's telling.
That's a good entry into A&M, but I want to say something real quick.
Okay.
Bama, they've had a ton of draft busts, but like talent level, I feel like now, obviously I feel like Bama's a bit better. That's my point. Alabama's talent level is maybe a bit better than Ohio State's, wouldn't you say? Because they still have people who produce in the NFL. Bama does. I know they're notorious for having a bunch of busts, but
I wouldn't say so. That year where they actually met in the playoffs and Ohio State beat Bama.
2015?
Ohio State had like, what was it? It was like Ezekiel Elliott. It was J.T. Barrett. It was with Joe Burrow like on the bench. It was, now I'm blanking on good Ohio State player. Was Terry McLaurin there yet? He was more slept on coming out of college, but still, he's worth saying.
Well, one thing, we were talking about Ohio State's
Michael Thomas. Why did I forget about
that was Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
And Paris Campbell.
Paris Campbell, yes.
One thing, Brittany said Ohio State, you say is fake. Would you say that in this new world of college football, do you think you need an elite defense to win a national championship? I know Georgia just
yes.
I don't think you do. That's the thing.
It's almost like you need a pretty good defense. I feel like what needs to be great is your offense. You almost need to just in the games that are shootouts, you just need to be a little bit better. The other team scores 42, you got to score 49. You know?
Because I look at 2020 LSU, their defense was pretty like below average, if I remember correctly, right?
Playing Alabama, they were below average, which is like an elite level team. But against Clemson, they showed up. In the national title game, they showed up.
They gave up like 28 or something.
They were pretty good, but the focus was definitely the offense. I don't think anyone's going to argue that.
But LSU's defense was not elite. You don't need an elite defense. You just need an offense that can outscore anybody. And I feel like Ohio State's offense can do that. Obviously, you can't have a horrendous defense.
Right.
But I feel like Ohio State can outscore everybody with the amount of talent that they have. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think offense is just – they're starting to find ways that the rules favor offense more and more. And the game is getting away from favoring defensive-minded teams the way those Bama teams would have been in 2012, 2013. Right. There's exploits. There's ways that the offense is inherently given the advantage, and people are finding that.
I feel like you can still win with that Alabama 2012 style of football. Because Kirby just did it.
Yeah, Georgia just showed that. Yeah.
Because 2012 Bama, A.J. McCarron, solid. Saw what he did in the NFL.
Okay.
Not great.
A.J. McCarron won best quarterback that year. Bad example. Okay. A.J. McCarron.
But A.J. McCarron is not you see him in the NFL. He's been like a career third stringer his whole life. It's like Stetson. Stetson was above average, good. He's not going to pan out in the NFL. You can still have an elite defense and obviously you need a good offense. You can still win championships with that style of play.
Yeah.
I think overall, Bama is going to dominate these next 2, maybe 3 years, depending on who the quarterback is after Bryce Young. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll be interesting to see how teams like Clemson and Michigan bounce back after, I would say, devastating seasons last year.
How is Michigan's season devastating?
Because, I mean, like,
they have the best year they've had in a long time. They beat Ohio State, made the playoff. I know they got whooped in the playoff, but still, that's a successful year. If you beat Ohio State, if you're Michigan.
Yeah, I guess so.
But Clemson definitely.
I'm just interested to see how certain teams bounce back. Yeah.
What was it? DJ Uunglele? Is that how you say it?
He was awful.
Yeah, DJU. Yeah, he was pretty bad.
He had that deal with Dr. Pepper, you know. He was coming in. He had all of that NIL money to throw 16 touchdowns, 16 picks.
Didn't he have more picks than interceptions? Or more picks
No,
than
he had
touchdowns?
the same.
I think they were even.
I think...
But it was it felt like it.
I know
he's
his
young.
parents.
He's young.
I know as he was gearing up for the season, his parents got into a divorce. And with one of his parents, he started to have like a rocky relationship with. And I know that doesn't sound very, like, detrimental, but as you mentioned with Matt Corral, the mental game is huge.
It's hard to stay focused.
Because that dude has all the talent in the world. He's 6'7", 250. He's massive arm. He has all the talent in the world. So if he can maybe put it together, then... But do y'all think he'll even make it past half the season as the starter with Klubnik coming in?
We'll see.
I think he doesn't, and he transfers somewhere smaller, and he does pretty well.
Because Klubnik's a beast. I got to watch him in that Texas State championship game on TV.
Yeah.
Balled out. He's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
all right, with that, boys, it's going to wrap the episode.
I thought we were talking about super conferences.
The first episode.
Next episode.
Nah, we'll say that for next episode. If you want to see us talk about super conferences, check us out.
Please do.
It should be next Monday. Please check us out. Please watch. Good episode, everybody. Good job. Good work. And with that,
I need to be like Patterson and have my notes
next time.
I'll be more prepared.
Yeah.
Baba Booey.